Hello everyone, welcome to Nanotech YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss how to develop a bagging table. Bagging table is normally used in flour mill, feed mill, rice mills where the impurities or foreign particles or anything which is produced in a lesser quantity is packed in bags, small bags. So for that reason we use this kind of bagging table. You can see this is the detailed drawing of a bagging table. So let's start with its development. So I will open first Creo parametric 9.0. So let's start with the new. I will uncheck this part solid, and from here I will choose MMNS part solid ABS. So this is our initial interface of Creo parametric 9.0. So we will start first with this top cover of the bagging table, which you can see from here, and the dimension is 1300 by 500. So I will choose first the front plane and I will go for extrude command. So here I will draw a circle like this, a rough circle. I will press escape. Then I will see the dimensions. So the dimensions is 500 by 1300. So this is 1300 and this one is 500. Okay. So let me just quickly make it like 250 so that it is right in the center. And let's take the dimension from this point to this point, 650. So this is more or less in the center of this coordinate. So now I can delete these two measurements because I don't need them. So I will click OK. So now you can see I need to define the height of this bagging table. So let me go back to the drawing. Let me zoom in here. Okay. So here the width is mentioned here, which is almost 100. So okay, let me see if we have any other dimension other than this one. No, we don't have. Okay, since the square tube size is 40 by 40 millimeter, so I will say roughly it as 50 by 50. So I can say the height of this extruded part would be 50, and I will click OK. Yeah. So you can see the top cover of this bagging table is complete. Okay. Okay. So what I need to do, I need some depth here. So I have a few options to make that depth. So I will use the shell command here and I will choose this plane. You can see it is made similar like our drawing. So the thickness of this sheet, it's not mentioned here, but I will keep it as 4 millimeter, which should be okay. So 4 millimeter I set here and I will press OK. So you can see now it is hollow from inside and it's kind of bended sheet which is smooth from the top and it is from the beneath, from the downside it's not a solid part. It's a sheet which is bended from this way and this way. Okay, so the top cover is complete now. Now we will start first with the legs. So these are the legs of the bagging table. So let's start with that one. Okay. Okay. So in order to prepare the legs, I will first choose this plane and then I will say extrude. Okay. So now I need to add first these two base plates. You can see it's mentioned here. Again, the detail is not available here, So what I will do, because the square tube size is 40 by 40, so I will take it as roughly 50 by 50, which should be okay. But you can see, yeah, 50 by 50 should be okay. So what I will do, I will place these two strips along the whole width of the bagging table. Okay, let me quickly show you how we will do it. So again, I will put a rectangle here, something like this. Okay, so here I will change the dimension 50, and you can see the legs are starting from here to here, so we wanted to keep it as long as possible. So this one I can keep around 450. Yeah. So now I need to make some dimensions. You can see this whole length is 450. Now I need to see the dimension from this point to this point. And this one I would like to keep it as minimum. So I would say 10. 10 millimeter should be okay. And then I will make the dimension. I will check the dimension from this point to this point. So this one I would like to keep it as half of 450, so that this strip is actually in the center of the table. So 225 would be the half. So now you can see it is aligned in the center of this bagging table. Okay, so now this plate is complete, and we will try to apply the same here. So again, I will choose this plane. I will go for extrude command, and I will draw a rectangle here like this. Then I will go for dimensioning. So this one was 50 millimeter, and this was 450 millimeter. So now I need to see the dimensions from this point to this point. Should be 225, half of 450, and from this point till this point, this should be 10 millimeter. So you can see an identical plate is applied here. So I will click OK, and this one I can change to 4 millimeter like we did for the left side, and I will say OK. Now you can see these two strips are installed here. Okay, so now I need to make the supports here. From the drawing you can see the support height is 1400 millimeters starting from here. So the 4 millimeter was of sheet thickness for the plate thickness, so that we can ignore for now. So I will keep it as 1400 millimeter. So for that, okay, so now we will extrude it. So I will choose the extrude command. I will select this plane, and here I will make a rectangle or square. So this is the plate which we have applied earlier. So I will place it somewhere here like this. So now I need to know the dimensions. This one I will keep it as 40, and this is also 40. Now I need some more dimensions from this point to this point. So the plate was 10 millimeter away. So this one I can keep it as 14 millimeter away from the edge. So you can see it is almost on that additional plate. So I will say OK here, and this extruded part I will keep it as 1400 millimeter. So you can see the leg of the bagging table is created now. Okay, so one leg is extruded now. Now we will choose this extruded leg, and we will mirror it. So this is our plan where we need to mirror, and again the same leg we would like to mirror here. Okay, let's do it for this one first, then I will click OK. Then this one again I will mirror along this plane, and I will say OK. and I will again mirror this leg, and I will choose this plane. So now you can see all four legs are in place for the bagging table. Now we need to apply the base plates here. So to prepare the base plate, I will choose this plane and I will go to extrude command. So here we will apply a rectangle here like this. So this will be the rectangle. So the dimension of this rectangle would be, you can see from this place, 100 by 100, 6 millimeter. So this one 100, this is also 100, and I will say OK. And the thickness of this one, I will keep it as 6 millimeter, and you can see the base plate is applied here on this plane. Just to have a clear idea, let me zoom in here and you can see the application here. Okay, so the dimension is also okay. If you wanted to change it, so what we can do, we can define the center here and we can change it. Let's say if we wanted to change the dimension, so I will go like this and I will edit the definition, and we can make some dimensions here, like from this point to this point, from this point to this point. Okay, so this one I can keep it as 0, and this one I can keep it as 0. So you can see the plate is applied almost in between the top plate. So this should be okay. So I will click OK, 6 millimeter. I will keep OK. So now you can see the plate is applied here and it is not extending outside, it is inside. This is also very important from a safety point of view, that it should not be extending outside, so it can hurt someone's leg while they are walking on the floor. So this is done now. Now I will again mirror it along this plane and I will say OK. This one I will mirror it along this plane, so this is OK. Now this one I will again mirror along this plane, so this is also done. So now you can see all four base plates are in place. Okay. Now what we need to do according to the drawing, we need to make some assembly like this. So for that, first we need a cutout here. So the cutout, you can see it's 200 millimeters cutout. So the dimension is not clear here, but this dimension is available. And okay, this one is also available. So we will maintain these dimensions. So in order to make the cutouts, let's select this one. Then we will go for extrude cut. Okay. So here we will make a round circle here first, like this, and then we need to see the dimension. So from one side it is 200 millimeter, need to see the this dimension. So from the edge it's at 400 millimeter. So again from the edge it is 400 millimeter. Okay, so this is now done and I will say OK. As I said earlier, I need an extrude cut here, so I will go into this direction and I will remove material and I will say OK. So you can see the hole is created. Now since in the drawing we need two holes, so we will make two here as well. So I will draw the mirror and I will choose this plane. So you can see now we are having two cutouts here, and I will click OK. In order to prepare that, I will define this plane, and I will prepare a here like this. So this is almost 40 by 40. Just to double check, we can check only one dimension here. So this is 40. Okay. So now I will click OK, and you can see this is extruded, and this I can say to the next, and I will say OK. So you can see this part is done. Now we need another one here, and we will simply mirror this along this plane, and I will say OK. So you can see now the additional supports too on each two legs is installed, and the bagging table is almost complete. Now I would like to round these corners, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So these all corners I would like to round here, so 15 millimeter should be okay, and I will say okay. Again, these corners also I would like to round them. I'm holding the control key, and I'm selecting all of them one by one. Okay. So again, this one also I will keep 15. Now we need to make this assembly inside, which is clear from the drawing. So let's start with that one. So now we can prepare these assemblies separate. So we will keep the backing table, or we will leave it like this, and we will save it as part number 1, and we will now open another one, new part sketch, uncheck MMNS part solid ABS. Okay. So in this plane now we will prepare the bagging tables outlets. So for that we will start with the front plane like we did before. So we will first go for the revolve command. I will choose this plane. Then we will first draw the center line, and I will choose a line, and I will create a rough sketch like this, and I will close it. So now we need to make the dimensions here. So the inlet, you can see it is 200 millimeter. So this one will be 100 millimeter. So the height is 150 millimeter for this pipe. So this one we can change to 150 millimeter. Now this tapered shape, this one is 100 millimeter. So again I will do the dimension from this point to this point, and I will say 100 millimeter. And the last one is 75. So again dimensions from this point to this point, and I will say 75. Okay, this one I will say 75 millimeter. Now you can see this is the diameter outside, which is 300. So in our case it would be 150. So this is almost done now. I will say okay, and you can see the revolve command is applied, and it is done. So we will say okay. Now I need to make this round shape here in order to hold the bags. So you can see the round dimension is here. It is 100 millimeter starting from somewhere here. So let's create this one. So to create this, we will again go for the revolve command, and we will create this geometry somewhere here like this. So this one we can say 100 millimeter. Okay. Okay. So this is scaled and this cannot be 100 millimeter, but we will keep it roughly at 6 millimeter, or we can increase it to 10 millimeter. So this looks better. So again, I will apply a center line here to revolve it around the body of this cone, this funnel. So I will say okay. And now you can see this special thickened body is applied on the edges of this cone or this funnel. So I will click OK. So you can see now this is applied here. OK. So now this is done. This is done. In normal cases, we are having a flange here, but in our case, we don't have it. But to increase the aesthetics of this shape, we can still prepare a flange here. Otherwise, we don't need it here. So here we need a flange. This flange is only used to this is only used to unmount it or mount it back whenever it is required. So what I will do here, I will choose the revolve command. Then when I will apply a line command here. So roughly, I will say I will say it like this, and like this, just to make a closed loop here. So 8 millimeter means 4 millimeter flanges, two 4 millimeter flanges. So this should be okay. So I will click OK here, and we don't have the flange detail here, so that we can keep it as roughly. We have to do it on rough basis, and this looks fine, but we can increase it to 35 just to have a clear view. So again, I will draw a center line here, then I will say OK, and you can see the flanges created around this shape. So now we will try to do the assembly of these two. Okay, before starting the assembly, let's quickly see. It's better if we prepare a plan here, additional plan at 50 millimeter. So that will be setting below the bagging table. So we can apply that plane now, or from this one. Let's say this plane. From this plane, I would like to keep it as 100 millimeter. So 100 minus thickness of the top sheet. So I would say it is 96 millimeter, and I will say OK. So now you can see this plane is created additional, which is actually not affecting our main body, but it is very important and it will help us in assembly. So now we will go for new assembly, and I will click OK. So let me quickly this save this part 2. So the part 1 is saved, part 2 is this one, and this is the assembly. So let's start with then assembly. So this is our part number 1, and I will say OK. And now we can insert part number 2 here. So now we need to make the constraints here. So this one I can simply rotate it. Okay. So now I will make the constraints. So here I can say coincident, and I will take the axis of this one and the axis of this one. So you can see now it is constrained, and as we have created this additional plan, so I will add an additional coincident constraint, and I will select this plane, and the second one I will select the base of the table. So now you can see It is exactly sitting at its place, and I will say OK. Now again I need to attach the second part here like this one, and I will rotate it, and I will again apply the constraints here. So the axis here and this axis, and it is already setting because we have settled this one, and it is copying the same procedure, and it has settled down on the bagging table like we were trying it. So I will say OK. So now I can just remove these all planes here for better aesthetics, and you can see the bagging table is almost complete. Okay, so let's change the appearance here. Let's say metallic. So this here I can choose this assembly, and I can say OK, or I can choose this all and I can change this appearance to here. Okay, so this looks final and this looks OK. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.